What's up, guys? So one of the interesting storylines that's happened so far this year in sprint car racing concerns Carson Macedo, the driver of the Jason Johnson Racing 41 on the World of Outlaws Tour. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wow, Chase, you're talking about the World of Outlaws on your YouTube channel. Yes, I am allowed to because this is my personal channel. This is not an official high limit channel. So, yes, talking about Carson Macedo today and his odd start to the season with the Outlaws. 4 races in, and Carson Macedo has yet to record a top 10 finish with the Outlaws. I know Jeremy Elliott put out a video earlier today, and I was going to do this video no matter what, and Jeremy kind of beat me to the punch, but I'm going to dive a little bit more into it here in this video. So Carson Macedo, as we mentioned, 4 races in. If you look at his night so far through those first 4 races, race number 1 came out and qualified 14th, which is something that we haven't seen very often with that car. Carson Macedo's qualifying has improved year over year ever since he became a full-time Outlaw driver. That has been one part of his program that he has really improved on, is qualifying. So 14th, a little out of the norm there for him. He was 7th in the heat race. He was 6th in the B main on night 1 and had to take a provisional to start 25th in the feature and ended up in the 14th position in that race. Race number 2, things did improve a little bit there. He was 7th in qualifying, ended up 3rd in the heat race, was 10th to start the feature, but fell back to the 12th position. So was able to go forward, obviously, from 25th to 14th, but you expect to do that as a guy that is a contender for the championship. You expect to see him go from 25th to 14th, but you don't really normally see him go from 10th to 12th, especially a guy that's won some races at Volusia Speedway Park. Race number 3, he qualified a little bit better, was 6th, was 3rd again in the heat race, started 11th in the feature this time and dropped back to 16th. So it was a tough night there as well. And then on the final night of Volusia down there for the Dirt Car Nationals, the qualifying took a hit at 13th, was 6th in the heat race again. Came from, I think he was going to be maybe 4th or so in the B main to start. He finishes 3rd. He ends up starting 23rd in that feature and finishes in 14th. So no top 10 finishes for Carson Macedo in the first 4 races of the Outlaw season. And the big storyline coming into this year, obviously, is no Brad Sweet. And so who is going to take down the championship with the Outlaws in 2024? Most people pointing at David Gravel to take it down. But, coming into the season, myself and quite a few other people thought that maybe Carson Macedo would be able to step up and do this. Now, I know it's still super, super early into the season. They've still got 70-something races left and plenty of time to do it, but not exactly an ideal start for Carson Macedo, a guy who's won a lot of races here over the last 3 years. Now, that provisional that he used on night number 1 was the first provisional that he has used with the series since 2021 when it happened at Port Royal Speedway. And for a while, Port Royal did have Carson Macedo's number, and if you would have asked him a few years ago, what is your worst track on the tour, he would have definitely said Port Royal. So far, his average start in the features is 17th, and his average finish is 14th. So those are just not very good numbers, very uncharacteristic for this team and this driver. And they got to turn it around here very, very quickly. They're going back to Volusia this weekend for 2 nights. If they get a race in, it looks like it is supposed to rain down there in Florida. Also, the last time Carson Macedo was outside the top 10 for 4 straight races was all the way back in his rookie season in 2019 when he was driving the Kyle Larson number 2 car. And those finishes were at Charlotte, Lawrenceburg, and at the when they decided to build a dirt track at Nashville. And Carson Macedo was outside the top 10 in 4 straight races. It has not happened since then, and that was midway through the 2019 season. Now, he has had a couple of times where he was outside the top 10 3 times in a row, but he's always able to get back in that 4th race and get back into the top 10. So this is uncharted territory, really, for Carson Macedo. Now, he is 13th in the point standings with the Outlaws right now, but technically he is 6th among the full-time drivers, only ahead of, I want to say, Sheldon, Brock Searfoss, Landon Crawley, Bill Rose, and Bill Baylor. So he's 6th in points, but that is not where we're expecting to see him, right? He's got to catch up to Gio, he's got to catch up to Gravel, he's got to catch up to Donnie, he's got to catch up to Schuhart, and Buddy Kofoid is in front of him as well. So, yeah, tough there, and he's 84 points already behind David Gravel. So That's going to be tough to come back from. I know there's still a lot of races to go, but 84 points is a really tough hole to dig out of, especially with how consistent David Gravel is. Now, the difference between Gravel and Sweet is over the last couple of years is Gravel does seem to have a couple of DNFs almost every year, whether it's between 2 and 3 or 2 and 4. They seem to happen, but the same thing can be said about Carson Macedo, as he does have quite a few DNFs throughout the year as well. He's going to have to really clean those up for the rest of the season when he's already 84 points back going into the 5th race of the year. So definitely a lot of work to do. Now, what has changed with this team? And I haven't done any other research. I haven't talked to anybody with the team, or I talked to Carson a little bit, but not about the start to his season at all, just kind of some other stuff, talking about high limit and whatever. Carson texted me and said I did a good job with the broadcast and stuff like that. And Carson and I are good friends, and I hope he doesn't take this video the wrong way. I had him as my championship favorite for this year, and I still think he can get it done. But what I was getting at was, what has changed with this team from 2023 to 2024? As far as I know, same chassis, same motors. Obviously, Philip Dietz is still the crew chief, and Carson Macedo is still a good driver. Those things have not changed. Philip Dietz might be one of the best crew chiefs in the entire sprint car world right now, and Carson Macedo, without a doubt, is the top 5 driver in the entire country when it comes to 410 sprint car racing. But what has changed is the crew guys. No more Clyde Knepp as he goes and sets off on his own journey to do a carbon fiber business with doing like hoods and side panels and things like that for sprint cars and other things like that. And Nate Repitz, who has stepped back a little bit, and he now works on Anthony Macri's car. So the 2 crew guys that have been with that team for 2 or 3 years now and had a pretty good system going on every single week, right? They are not there anymore. And I think this really goes to show how important crew guys are. And I'm not putting this run right here at the fault to any of these new crew guys. I don't even know who they are. But I'm just saying that, losing 2 guys that have been doing this for a very long time can affect the team. Now, I'm not sure if that is exactly what affected them. Maybe they had a bad engine in the car. Maybe they found out the chassis they were running was bent. Maybe that was the problem. I'm not sure. But the thing that, most people will point to is the loss of those 2 crew guys who, if you were at the racetrack at any point in time throughout the season with the World of Outlaws and you went by that crew, went by that pit area, Nate and Clyde were always working, cleaning the car, getting tires ready. They worked extremely hard to try and make sure that car was perfect to go onto the racetrack. And same goes for Phil Dietz. So I'm interested to see how Carson Macedo can rebound after the start to the year down there in Volusia. They go back this week. Now, mind you, the race this week, the bike week race, is going to be a much less, strength of field. It's not going to be nearly as good. There's not going to be as many good cars, I should say, going to Volusia this week as there was at Dirt Car Nationals. I would be surprised if they had 25 cars show up. So Carson Macedo should not have to worry about the top 10 coming up over the next 2 nights if they do get a race in with that rain coming through. But still, a little bit worrying, but we know this team. We know what they can do. We've seen them do great things in the past. I think they're going to rebound very well. I just thought it would be interesting to put all these numbers on the board and talk about what's happened so far with the Jason Johnson Racing 41. So that's all we've got for this video. I'm not really sure what the next video is. I don't have anything planned right now, but I'm sure we'll figure something out, and we will see you guys in the future here on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you here soon.